Love it. So you were at the Sphere last night?
We were. So,
and you're still standing?
If you have any motion sickness, do not go to the Sphere. I luckily did not, but I don't know, when we walked up there and saw this huge screen, it is breathtaking. So it was super fun. You and I were talking before I came up here, and I really am joking when I say this. I'm somewhat of a minor celebrity during Shop Talk. And I don't mean to sound like a jerk, but I get invited to lots of dinners. But I actually thought that the folks that took us last night had something unique to offer. Like, I'd never been to the Sphere, so that was super fun. First, way to end the first day here at the Crazy Shop Talk.
Like dodge and dive out here. I get it. So it's funny because I was actually talking to a few folks outside the room. I was like, yeah, I'm interviewing Craig, CMO of American. So they're like, I'm wearing the jeans.
There we go. Thanks, people.
Craig came in hot, like straight up jean all the way to the top, man.
Denim on denim. It's a thing. Honestly, I'm a simple guy, and part of my gig is to do stuff like this and other things. And I think I'm on number 5 today, and it's only 12. And it's just easy for me to say, okay, denim on denim. I'm representing the brand. I don't even have to think. So that's my go-to outfit during something like this.
So before you went into denim on denim, you have a pretty interesting background. Not in any order, but Speedo, Calvin Klein, Gap, now American Eagle. Like, walk us through where you were, where you are, where you're going. Like, I think the audience would love to know a little bit about your background.
Well, it's so funny because a very wise person gave me probably the most important career advice I ever got. And that was, do what you love and love what you do. And it came from my mom. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I've actually been in 3 industries that I actually personally find interesting. And I kind of find, like, if you like what you do, you actually do it quite well. So I started off, as you and I were just talking about, I worked for the U.S. Senator from my home state of Washington. And that was interesting. And then I wanted to get involved in sports, and I did. And I worked for a small sports PR and marketing firm, but yet our accounts were the NFL. I got to do some Super Bowls. I'm a big tennis guy. We did a lot of tennis, baseball, NASCAR, all the things. One of our accounts was Speedo during, and I'm going to sound like a dinosaur, I apologize, the 1996 Atlanta Olympics. And they were hiring for someone to run the show in 2000, which was the Sydney Olympics. So I had this privilege of doing the Michael Phelps Olympic, is what I call. So I did 2000, 2004, and then obviously Michael's record-breaking success in 2008. Wow. Turns out Michael's success helped me. I probably still should send him a royalty check. The same parent company owned Calvin Klein, and that's when they wanted to bring in their first ever head of marketing for Calvin Klein. And then I've been on this crazy journey. I joke that I've been making my way through the American Mall, but it is a pinch me thing. And Calvin Klein to Abercrombie to Gap, and now here in American Eagle, all iconic American brands. And I know the word iconic is overused, but they really are. And all really fun brands. And then even better for CMO, right? All brands that really use marketing to win in the marketplace. And, someone was saying, hey, you've been here for 24 hours. What are some of your observations so far? I think it's interesting because it's the return of the brand-led CMO. And there were a couple of people that said that to me. There were a couple of recruiters. I'm not looking for a job, but a couple of recruiters I bumped into. So I think that in this uncertain environment that we're operating in, brands matter more than ever. And I'm just really privileged to be part of a team where brand really is a superpower at American Eagle.
I love that. So obviously American Eagle, CMO, you got denim on denim. I got to ask, when you were at Speedo, would this have been just...
That's hysterical. I never thought about that. No, the funny thing, and I'm going to sound like I'm totally on my talk track here, but the funny Speedo that all of us make fun of, right? The banana hammock, and I can go on and on and on. It's literally less than 2% of the sales of that company. And when I was there, we actually developed a full body swimsuit with NASA that 92, I still remember the stat, 92% of the Olympic gold medalists won in that year. And so it's actually way more high performance. But yes, I get it. We had to go there. It's a good joke. But, and no, my wife and my now 2 19 and 16-year-old daughters would be horrified. I actually might be horrified for myself.
Yeah. My wife actually works for NASA. So I'm going to look into this technology you guys have put up. So let's talk a little bit about we're both Gen Z.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. I'm Gen Z.
Let's talk about like the target audience. So American Eagle, like you got that sweet spot, right? The super cohort, right? That Gen Z audience. How do you meet them where they are? Obviously omni-channel, but like talk us a little bit through how you're meeting the customer where they are.
It's super impressive, guys, because when you think about American Eagle, the brand was actually founded in 1977. So you do the math, we're about to turn 50 years old. And yet AE has been at the forefront of youth culture for most of those 50 years. And I am humble and self-aware enough to say that my role as a CMO has evolved over the last decade. And sometimes, and I'm not actually joking when I say this, is my responsibility is get the hell out of the way and let my amazing Gen Z associates on my team do their stuff. And so a decade ago, and I think probably Calvin Klein, to some extent Abercrombie at the time is a good example of this, is these roles were command and control. Yep. And I saw everything and I approved everything. And, it's like you're almost like the dictator, the military operator. It's totally changed. And actually the skill set that I want most from a younger associate who may be starting his or her career at American Eagle is conviction and confidence to tell me I got it wrong. And tell me, hey, I want to play devil's advocate. Think about it this way. And so, I now feel like I don't have to be an expert in everything. I actually need to hire experts in everything. Yep. And of course, my role is to provide strategy and to provide guardrails and to hopefully provide a little bit of inspiration. But I really do think that we have the best marketing team in retail. I really do mean that. And I think it's because I'm empowering that mostly Gen Z associate base to do their thing.
Well, it's funny because, two things. One, when I was growing up, the cool thing to do was like go to the mall and we'd like hang out. That was like the place to go, right? And I feel like that's coming back. And a friend of mine oversees Simon Property Group, and he was telling me some of the numbers of mall traffic. It's absolutely insane. Like malls are back, traffic is back. So, but that's only one side of the business, right? Because you guys have the in-store, but then you also have online. Can you talk a little bit about like the channels in which folks like Cassandra,
where are you?
American Eagle jeans.
We love you.
Did you see an ad? How did you get those jeans?
Yeah, I saw a couple of ads. A couple of my friends started buying them. And I was like, well, I need to go try on a pair and see if I love them. Now I have them in 3 different colors.
Craig?
I need to record your testimonial after this on stage. So a couple things I want to pick up on. First of all, the myth of physical retail dying is completely a myth, and I know many of us are in retail. We know that, and it's even more of a myth for young audiences. So week after week, we track store traffic, and we are beating mall traffic by high single digits week after week after week. Part of me does wonder, like a teenager is a teenager is a teenager and will be forever. And teenagers are mostly social creatures. They want to get out and about. And I think that shitty COVID gap that they had actually only superpowered this return to physical stores because they actually want to be around each other and they want to interact. So I think that's an important part. But the experience in a store has changed, and I'm not being paid by T-Mobile to do this. So I mean it truly. So the experience when someone walks into an American Eagle or Aerie store today is, I want what I'm seeing on my screen right now. Yep. It could be a creator. Yep. It could be an outfit that someone's seen at an Eras Tour stop. It could be a football player. It could be anything. Yep. And so really, I think our goal and our opportunity at a company that physical and e-commerce are so important is how do you connect the dots? And I think the dots are mostly connected through our loyalty program, which has won all sorts of fancy awards. But the most important stat that I'm going to share with you today is that 80% of our transaction are loyalty enabled. I mean, think about it. That's a unbelievably high number. And so clearly we're offering value for people. Yep. But I think that, everything that you're saying is phyical's back. E-commerce is so important. And how do you engage people wherever, whenever they want is the name of the game.
That's actually a challenging thing to operationalize, right? Someone comes in the store and says, I want this. Yeah. So let's walk through that. So TikTok, Roblox, Instagram, like where are your channels? Like where are you, meeting the customer, and are any of those distribution channels, like what's number one? Like what's gold for you?
So I'm now speaking to this data. This is not, personal, but the data would say TikTok and Snap are the 1 and 2 most used platforms by Gen Z for very different reasons, by the way. TikTok, discovery, entertainment, no doubt, again, not being paid by TikTok, that platform has had the most dramatically positive effect for our industry in the last few years. And I was being asked by the New York Times reporter earlier today about, we're about to hit this next tranche of, is it going to ban? Is it not ban? I said, I'm just going to be very clear with you. There's not a single CMO I have met in my industry or any other industry that doesn't want TikTok to survive and thrive because it's has such a positive impact. So that's TikTok. Snap, for any of us that have kids, it's really a communication tool, right? So that is extremely important. And then I'm just going to throw a third one out that doesn't have huge scale, but for us has seen dramatic, and that's why I had to say dramatic in that really exciting tone, performance improvement, and that's Pinterest. Wow. And why I'm surprised by that is when I was CMO at Gap, and at Gap brand at that time, the core audience was a 40-year-old woman who was shopping for herself or her family. Pinterest was important. Sure. And so it really was that 30 and 40-something moment. Well, Gen Z is really taking a liking to Pinterest because Pinterest is not it's not negative. You don't feel bad about yourself. You're in a sense of discovery. Yep. And to be fair, their product team has come up with a very clever ad units that are really working for us. So, I guess I'll say this, and hopefully none of my competitors in this room, and we'll just keep this to ourselves. But Meta is the number one from a budget perspective. Love working with them. Google is number 2, but I would say those other 3 are driving brand and business impact in a way that might be unique to the big 2.
So, given that folks are coming in and saying like, "Hey, I want this," right? How important is speed to market? So, if Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl is wearing some bell-bottom jeans, like how do you activate, execute, and get those things operationalized?
So I think our panel, our fireside chat is called Retail at the Speed of Gen Z. And so honestly, it's everything. I mean that. It's everything. And you got to be ready for game day. And so we have worked very hard to develop a process that is unbelievably nimble and unbelievably flexible. And for any of us that are in this industry, there's something called open to buy. And so a chief merchant or the merchandising team leaves open to buy, will leave a certain open to buy in their plan to react to some trend.
Got it.
I honestly think the same thing is relevant for marketing these days. And so we might program 70% of a season, but leave open to buy 30% of those stories open to react to it. But it is done with intent, and we've had to, decouple, uncouple, whatever the term is, processes to get to a part where, as you kindly just mentioned, that we had a dramatic moment, guys. It was the gift that keeps on giving in 2025 when Kendrick walked out there in flare jeans, and everyone instantly thought they were American Eagle flare jeans because everyone instantly remembers in the mid 2000s when all those millennials were wearing it. And of course, everyone's making their own TikTok and all the things. And I think it was Monday night when I read something in New York Post which said American Eagle owned the Super Bowl. And I said, our job is done. And it really, of course, was the team reacting. But again, it was with intent. And that's why I would just recommend any of us that are playing the retail marketing game is you want to be ready for the big moment, but that does take work on the front end to be ready for it.
So, Craig, are bell bottoms back or what?
They're so back. I mean, we still are sold out of certain SKUs of flare jeans fully because of Kendrick, and we'll be back in time for festival season, which is, as you guys know, coming up with Coachella and the summer season. But it is again a great reminder that this is so cross-functional in nature these days, right? So it's not just the marketing team that should take credit and success for wins like that. Is your supply chain has to work, your production has to work, your merchant partners has to work to take full advantage of these kinds of moments.
If you don't mind, I don't want to get too personal, but you'd mentioned that you have children.
Yep.
And are they like avid American Eagle fans? Like, do you look at them and say, what's trending? I got it. Like, my daughters love this. My sons love, like.
Yeah. So I have two daughters. One, and depending on the hour of the day, I'm either the coolest dad that ever existed or the cringiest dad that ever existed. I'm not quite sure which one. Our 19-year-old is at the University of Texas in Austin, so she's off doing her college thing. Hook 'em for anyone that is out there. And then we have a high school sophomore at home. And I know I shouldn't do this, but honestly, every once in a while I do ask them, like, hey, what do you think about this? Or, you kind of observe in the wild, Camille or Grayson interacting with their friends. And it's not like I'm saying, okay, because Camille likes it, we're doing it, but it is a thought starter sometimes with the team of like, does this check? I mean, in full candor, and I've said this before, is we have an ongoing collaboration with a wildly popular Gen Z show called The Summer I Turned Pretty. And Camille was the one that walked into the room and said, hey, Dad, I think this is going to be something.
Wow.
And sure enough, it is today the biggest collaboration that we've ever done. Season 3 is on the way. Let your mind wander for what will come in June and July. So, yeah, I think, as a CMO, one of the best traits you need to have is curiosity. And curiosity happens with your family, at your place of work, but also happens in life. Like, I try my best, even walking through these crazy casinos here, just to observe kind of, what are people wearing or what are they listening to or whatever it is. I think that is, it was funny. The head of social said to me a week ago that her team has a very unhealthy obsession with culture. And I said, actually, I love that term. And so I think you have to, if brand is so important, you have to be, so focused on what's going on out there.
So obviously you use your daughter as a sounding board, speed of Gen Z, right? Like, I get that. But you've also done significant collabs out there, from NFL quarterbacks to, micro influencers. Can you talk a little bit about just like getting those brand ambassadors and like the strategy and the go-to-market around that?
Yeah, and I think the insight here is the best brands are the best storytellers, and you have to have head snap moments, because no matter what we've done, I know through research that American Eagle is thought of as something, right? We're the number one selling jeans brand for Gen Z. And there are other things that we are trying and attempting to do. So these collabs, these drops, these moments kind of is the head snap that I didn't see that coming. And here we go. I think a great example is with e.l.f. Beauty. e.l.f. Beauty, number one beauty brand for Gen Z. And we came up with, I think it's a 40 SKU denim inspired collection. This is really funny. We actually, the CMO and I are friendly, and we come up with some crazy shit from time to time. And we created the Belfie, which is the butt selfie.
Wow.
And so, I know, right? And so again, that is a fun moment, a humorous moment, a head snap moment that kind of cuts through the normal kind of grind that all of us are doing out there. So, beauty is hot, so we want to participate in that. Streaming shows are hot, we want to participate in that. But you bring it up again. Sports is at the center of culture today, and we are not a sports brand, but we are all in on sports, and some of it is proactive, and some of it is reactive, and we have some. I'm not going to say it, guys, because my team will kill me. But we have literally the biggest collaboration in my American Eagle history coming up, and it will be connected with sports. And so I think that, again, you have to be, what is at the center of culture for Gen Z, and you have to go after it and find your angle in, even if your brand, your product offering doesn't overtly connect with whatever is happening in culture.
So, thinking forward a little bit, where do you see retail going? Like, we just saw Amazon up here talking about Amazon Live, shoppable ads, all this. Is that part of your strategy? Like, are you seeing these new channels, let's think 5 years in the future?
Absolutely.
Where you want to be on that?
Yeah. I do wonder out loud, though, that innovation, and I'm guilty of this as much as anyone, gets a lot of buzz. But actually, when you really look at the data, like our industry doesn't dramatically change from year to year. Yes, we had that COVID moment, but e-commerce continues to increase 1 or 2% a year. Physical retail is still 80% of our industry, 65% of my business. So. Yes, the answer is yes. Obviously, we're gonna participate in all the new innovation things, but things don't change as fast as I think we think. I think the one thing I'm walking away from Shop Talk so far thinking about in terms of really game-changing, exciting things. One is visual search. We are a visual industry, and I hope there are no friends from Google in here because I'm going to say some things that you may be offended by. But the reality is Gen Z is not Googling things anymore. They are visualizing things on platforms like TikTok and Pinterest, and to some extent Instagram as well. And I think some early days products that either I've been privy to see before they're socialized or are in alpha and beta right now really have me intrigued for what's coming up. And again, in visual search, and I actually think we're probably going to disproportionately be positively affected by that continuation. And then the second thing is we have 35,000 physical store associates. That is an army of people that love our brands, love our products, and engage in a really effective way with our customer base. What if we could replicate that in the digital space? And so just yesterday, we launched what we're calling the Live Your Life community. Live Your Life is our brand platform. And it's basically putting influencer affiliate commerce on steroids. And again, we're day 2, so I'm not saying that we're there yet, but what if we could create that digital sales force as well? That, by the way, is a win for our company, but a win for these influencers. They can make some money as well. So there's other things that I'm excited about, but 36 hours into my Shop Talk, I think those are the 2 things that I'm most excited by.
I love that. Congrats on that launch. Last question here before we open up to the audience. I'm kind of curious. Gen Z walks into American Eagle. Do they know what they want to buy before they walk into the store? And how important is, you talked about 35,000, frontline folks, right? Are they able to influence the purchasing decision? Or is it like my mind is set up?
No, I think it's interesting. I mean, I just mentioned the camera moments. That is a real thing, but I've already talked about that. So I'm going to say something that's so obvious, but it is so true. Women and men are different shoppers. And the reality is you engage with them in very different ways.
Totally. Yeah.
Women are on a treasure hunt. And while they may have a goal in mind, they are very open to walking through, and by the way, we've done the research, so I know this, walking through the store and something catches their eye and then something else catches their eye and all of a sudden they've got 4 outfits together and they're using mom and dad's credit card. So that's a great outcome for us. Men are seek and destroy. Like I need, therefore I need to get. And interestingly enough, 50% of American Eagle men's product are bought by women.
Wow.
So the women in his life are just as important as him. So it could be mom, it could be girlfriend, it could be partner, it could be, whatever it is. So we actually have a marketing strategy called Glow Up Your Guy. And some of our best performing content on TikTok, I kid you not, is her shopping for him. And again, we do it all. Brother, sister, again, partner, all the things. It's fascinating that we need a lot of help.
Totally.
Help us, please. Again, I think there's just differences there are, and our store associates are aware of that. And at the end of the day, you want a very positive outcome for whoever walks through the door to get what they want or need. It's just different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, Craig, we appreciate you spending time here. We know you're busy, and I think we need to double click on the Belfie.
I know.
Was it called the Belfie?
The Belfie. Do look it up. The butt selfie. It was a thing.
But
it was a thing.
We appreciate you sharing your experience. Can we get a round of applause for Craig over here?
Both of you.
And we'll open up if anybody has any questions in the audience. All right.
Okay, I'm going to come over here first. I saw your hand pop up first. Sure. Hi, Craig. So as a mother of a 14-year-old daughter, my house, we live under the holy trinity of Brandy, Starbucks, Starbucks.
Yep.
I mean, Starbucks, Sephora, I should say. Brandy Melville is such a crazy phenomenon. And I'm sure that you guys are looking at it, talking about it. It is so different. It's so different from anything else. I mean, how many versions of the grout fit, as we call it in our house, the fully gray outfit? How many grout fits do you need? Apparently many.
Yeah.
How has, Brandy kind of bursting out on the scene impacted you guys? I mean, it's a whole different business model entirely, but what have you been able to take from that and make it your own? How much attention do you pay for it? Do you think it's a flash in the pan? Is the grout fit going away?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. We really don't pay that much attention to Brandy. And I actually, again, the best brands are the best storytellers. And sometimes you need a villain. And there are great villains out there. And I don't know if anyone has seen the Brandy Melville documentary on HBO, but there's some bad stuff that have happened, including like size shaming. I'm just going to say it. And the great thing about American Eagle, again, we've done the research, is we are literally the most inclusive brand in the mall to Gen Z, to millennials, to Gen Alpha. And so, we don't overtly market it, but like they can be a very nice villain in the story, as can Cherian, who is ultra fast fashion and ultra shitty for this environment. So, in our brand Aerie, Victoria's Secret and the Angels were a great villain, right? Sometimes you need a great villain. But again, I don't really think that much about Brandy. I'll be very honest. But if I do, I would probably think of it through that lens of, I kind of like the fact that there's a villain out there that, we can play the fact that we are super inclusive. When people come in our stores, they feel like they're getting a warm hug. I don't care what size I am, what background I am. Yep. Ethnicity, sociopolitical. Like we were actually voted the most bipartisan brand in the U.S. during the recent election, more than Coke, more than Delta Airlines, more than anything, which actually surprised me. And this is not something I campaigned for, but it was a nice thing to wake up to. And that just to me says, like, we are super inclusive, and how do we own that in a really effective way in marketing?
Okay, question over here.
This is great. Thank you so much. I am so fascinated by culture, obviously. You mentioned things like Super Bowl, ran by Kendrick Lamar. You mentioned festival seasons, which is definitely Gen Z forward. Things like the Eras Tours. Those are all music-centric. So when you think about audio, I'm just curious, how are you engaging from an audio standpoint, from an advertising lens? Because I just see that. I work in audio. It's one-on-one. Gen Z is spending 5 hours of their day with it. It's a safe place. It's joy and respite. You have platforms like SoundCloud, which is community building. So I'm just curious, we haven't seen you on the board in a while. So how are you thinking about audio, and what's that look like?
But it's funny because audio is so important to what we're doing on social media, right? And so TikTok, listen, I love me some Spotify. I know all the friends at Spotify. TikTok is the driver of music today, guys. I mean, that's just a reality. And so, we're so aggressive on that platform, but I love that you talk about music, because we call them passion pillars, and I'm sure other brands call it something different, but we have 5 passion pillars because we know that's what Gen Z is passionate about. And they're definitely passionate about music. I think in the last, in the last year or two, what's been driving any shifts inside of our company, I think it's country music. And, whether it's Beyonce or Shabuzi, all the way to Post Malone and others that are getting into the game. And listen, denim on denim is a thing, my friend, and denim on denim defines country music. Again, we were just down in Nashville over the weekend. We had a pop-up down there, wildly successful, mobbed with people, but it really was country music forward. And we were very deliberate in choosing non-traditional country artists to come by to our open mic and sing. So yeah, I think music ain't going away. Music will be here forever. I think the trick is seeing the trends that are happening and how do you attach your brand to that. I think, again, just for us, country has been probably something that I don't think we've dabbled in as much 2, 3, 4 years ago. We're definitely all in right now.